talked about me coming for about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and fortunately Father didn't know I also have to go back to say Mass in my own parish. So I cannot stay for a long time, though the music is fabulous. It's amazing. I love it. It's just so much joy and so much faith. It's wonderful. So I've been asked to come and just explain to all of you the reason for the move to St. Aloysius, and the reason why Bishop has asked that Father Emmanuel take on a different assignment. Father Emmanuel's not done anything wrong. You've not done anything wrong. Father Emmanuel has not requested it. The Bishop has asked Father Emmanuel to use some of his other gifts, especially those to do with hospital ministry. And so he is being assigned for the next period of his ministry in our diocese to Zanesville, where there is a Catholic hospital system and a high school, and he's going to serve there. Your new pastor is going to be Father Lawrence Tabby. He is coming in from Ghana because he is on a 3-year sabbatical from his own diocese, and he is friends with Bishop Fernandez. And when he approached Bishop Fernandez felt that this would be a good opportunity for a priest from Ghana to still be serving you, so you can have these beautiful liturgies in your new home. Now, the bishop asked me to meet as Episcopal Vicar with Father Emmanuel and with your committee. Your committee did a wonderful job of presenting to the bishop through me a proposal that would allow you to have opportunities on Saturday evening for your funeral liturgies and opportunities to have an earlier Mass than 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And the bishop has taken that really, really seriously. And so the desire for you to move to St. Aloysius is really based off of the fact of what he heard both in the written presentation and through me from the committee. He heard that you want to be able to have liturgies at easier times and with much better spacing. And St. Aloysius only has one Mass at 12 noon on a Sunday. And so that means you can have a Mass earlier on Sunday morning. You can use the church on Saturday evenings. It gives you much more scope. And it also, by the way, is one of the most beautiful churches in the Diocese of Columbus. The community there is, at this point, very, very small. But they have worked hard to maintain their church in a really good way. And although their parking on site is very limited, they have entered into agreements with the dentist across the road and the bank next door so that they can use their parking lots for their liturgies at the weekend. Now, I know there's been some rumors about St. Aloysius, because it's on the hilltop, being in a very bad neighborhood. I will admit to you that the hilltop area is probably one of the more impoverished neighborhoods, but it is safe for you to go there to celebrate your liturgies. At the moment, the Sisters of Kilimanjaro are actually living in the rectory at that parish, and I can assure you the bishop would not allow religious sisters to live there if it was dangerous for them to be there. The other thing to know is that Father Tabby is going to be funded in his ministry by being a parochial vicar part-time also at St. Andrew's Parish in Upper Arlington. They will be covering most of his salary and his benefits, and he will be housed there, because obviously we don't want to give the elbow to the Sisters of Kilimanjaro, because they're very settled there now. And so he's going to live at that parish. He'll do a little work there, but you will be his primary responsibility. And the bishop's hope of this move is that it will enable you to effectively become a real parish with a Ghanaian priest who is able to serve you. That means that you're going to have to consider becoming parishioners there, contributing to the upkeep of the parish and the church to show that you're not just a separate community, but you're really part of our diocese and of our parishes, and that you're valued and that you're loved. So I want to reassure you today that it really is the case that we are doing everything that we can to give you both what we were asked to give you and also to provide for all the other needs in the diocese. Now I know that from Father Emmanuel that some of you had hoped you'd be able to not move on July the 11th, perhaps move in September or late August. Bishop has decided, after consultation with me and with Father Petrie, that we should ask you to move at the end of July. So not on July the 11th, but at the end of July. And the reason for that is that St. Anthony's, now that it doesn't have any income from the school, and now that many of its own parishioners are starting to move elsewhere to other parishes, its income has dropped dramatically. They've had to let a maintenance person go already. And so as this parish is being wound down considerably over the summer, Bishop feels that the end of July would be the best time. That gives you as a community to prepare for the move, to work with Father Emmanuel and the priest who is currently the administrator there, to see where your things can all go at St. Aloysius, and to start to begin the move. Bishop has agreed that for a short time after you moved, and after Father Emmanuel has moved to Zanesville, that Father Emmanuel should come back and work with Father Tabby to help you get settled in, so that that kind of isn't an abrupt change for you. I hope all of this makes sense. I appreciate it's a big change. And it's a change that everybody in the Diocese of Columbus is going through right now. We are closing 15 parishes in our diocese. 5 of them have already had their decree of suppressions issued. And as we contract, the idea is that we can plant communities that are stronger and better able to evangelize and to build up their community. And that's what we want for you as well. So, Father, I thank you for letting me interrupt Mass today. I'm sorry that I can't stay until the end. That was the intention. I thought I was going to come and around 3 o'clock we'd be all talking after Mass, but what joy that you just celebrate liturgy so beautifully. I was the Eritrean community for their Easter Vigil. They celebrate a week after when we have Easter. And the bishop and myself and Father Brown, we all live with Father Weldit, who is the Eritrean priest who's with me and serves that community. And we went to their 3.5-hour Easter Vigil, which started at 9 o'clock at night. And they sang everything from beginning to end, except for 2 readings, the 2 Bible readings, Old and New Testament. Everything else was sung, and it was so amazingly beautiful, electric and alive, and you are just the same, and I am so grateful for that. Thank you.
But also with the Nasi Chassi, okay, Biboa, Name in Shram. Say, Obi wo question be busa na for the bit me allow 1-2 questions be answer secretary.
So Father, we are now moving at the end of July. Does it mean our last Mass here is July 30th?
Yes.
Yes.
So the first week in Sunday.
August.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for giving me an insight about what is going to happen. My concern is having moved from one place to another. And I have 2 questions. The first one will depend the answer that you give, that I will give my second question. You know, this father has been with us, and all of a sudden we are going. I'm not talking about in terms of the one coming. Some of us know him, but the question is, if you are moving there, the first time he told us over here, when you go there and we are having problems, we can come back to you, and then the community will set up, and this is what we are facing. And now here being the case that the Reverend Father who is leading us is going, and another one is coming. Probably the work that he's going to do Some of our priests coming from that end can work at the same time here. So why not allow him so that you can wrestle with him? That's my question.
That's a very, very fair question. One of the things that perhaps the community doesn't completely know, that in our diocese this year, on July the 11th, 34 pastors will move parishes. 8 priests will retire. And what's happening in our diocese at the moment is there's a kind of realignment going on so that we can have priests who are equipped to serve where we need them to serve. Some of the priests who are retiring were not planning to retire this year. They are of retirement age, but they intended to stay. We asked them to graciously step aside so that we could put a different person in to lead that community forward. What the bishop is doing is he's treating Father Emmanuel just like any other diocesan priest. He's recognizing he has other gifts, and he's asking that they be used at the service of the diocese. If Father Tabby had not requested to come to our diocese, I don't think that would have happened. It is certainly not a reflection on Father Emmanuel in any way. Father and I have now been working together for over a year, so we've got to know each other much better. And I can tell you, he's a wonderful priest and a great pastor, and he has many other gifts that he can give to our diocese. And the bishop has the right, as bishop, to move priests when he determines he needs them to move. And that ultimately is not a decision I make, it's a decision he makes. So 32 or 34 pastors are moving, 7 parochial vicars are moving, 8 priests are retiring before they plan to, and all of this is so that we can better equip the diocese and better equip the parishes to go forward and to evangelize. No question 2?
Okay. Pacho, this will be the last question.
Friend, I heard you share some lines on how we're going to take care of some basic needs of parish. Since the goal is to make us as parishes, not as a community, as we used to be. So what would that mean in terms of finances?
So, although you've been and still remain your own community with a priest from Ghana serving you, one of the things that if you, as your committee explained to me, would like to kind of become more like a parish, is that it is important, even though you maintain your identity, that you join that parish and that you begin to help to support that parish in all sorts of different ways. You'll have probably more attendance at Mass than they have currently, but Father Tabby will serve the English Mass as well as serving your community. And the more you become established there, the more responsibility you have, that instead of keeping your finances separate and doing everything separately, that you integrate and you become part of that community as well. And that means stewardship means giving of our time, giving of our talents, and giving of our treasure. Now, nobody's asking you to go to the English-speaking Mass. We want to make sure there is a Mass in your own language and for you as a community. We want to preserve that. But if you ever want to get into that place of being more like a parish with your own pastor rather than a chaplain, then you're going to need to demonstrate that by your participation in helping to maintain the parish, look after the grounds, participate in fundraisers that support the whole community. All these different things that go to being part of any parish community is something that you will be asked to do as well.
Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you, Father. Our regards to Bishop. God bless you.